We were kids together, and she's always been there. So it was a strange thing. I didn't know whether I would be able to carry on, and I just didn't know. But I thought, well,
At 85 years old, Tom Jones still commands the stage with a power that seems to defy age itself. The voice, the charisma, the legend, they're all still there. We see the lights, we hear the roar of the crowd, and we feel the energy of a man who looks like he made a deal with time. For more than 6 decades, he's been a force of nature, an icon of raw power and vocal brilliance. But what happens when the curtains fall? What about the man who exists when the applause fades? That's where you'll find a story of daily, grinding pain, of major health crises that would have ended the careers of men half his age, and a life offstage that is both heroic and profoundly poignant. This is the untold story of Tom Jones's later years on tour, a tale of a titan's fight against the inevitable. A battle waged in quiet hotel rooms far from the adoration of his fans. This is what it costs to remain a legend when your body and soul are aching for rest. To understand the challenges Tom Jones faces today, you first have to appreciate the colossal scale of the legend he built. This isn't just about an aging singer, it's about a cultural phenomenon, a man who for over half a century represented an ideal of untouchable vitality. He wasn't just a singer, he was the voice, a symbol of untamable energy. Born Thomas John Woodward on June 7, 1940, in the gritty coal mining town of Pontypridd, South Wales. His start in life was anything but glamorous. His father was a coal miner, and the family lived in a small house where money was tight and life was tough. This was post-war Britain, a time of rationing and resilience. But it was in this very hardship that Tom's incredible gift was forged. He started singing early, at family gatherings, weddings, and in the school choir. His voice was a raw, undeniable talent that simply couldn't be ignored, but his career was nearly over before it even began. At just 12 years old, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis, a severe illness that kept him in bed for 2 long years. It was a terrifying diagnosis at the time, and he was isolated in his own home, watching the world go by from his window. For a boy bursting with energy, it was torture. Yet, during that lonely time, music became his lifeline. He'd listen to American blues, rock and roll, and gospel, singing along with a passion that filled the silence. That period of forced stillness only sharpened his resolve. By the time he was 16, life had already pushed him into adulthood. He married his childhood sweetheart, Linda Trenchard. After she became pregnant with their son, Mark, he dropped out of school and took grueling jobs working in a glove factory, hauling bricks on construction sites just to support his new family. The pressure was immense, but that voice was always his ticket out. He started singing in working men's clubs at night, performing under the name Tommy Scott with his band, the Senators. It was in those rough, smoke-filled rooms that he honed the powerful stage presence that would make him famous. In 1964, a London-based manager named Gordon Mills discovered him, moved him to London, and rebranded him as Tom Jones. The change was explosive. His second single, It's Not Unusual, became a global smash hit in 1965. Suddenly, he was an international star. What followed was a whirlwind of success. What's New Pussycat, Delilah Green, Green Grass of Home, and She's a Lady. His booming baritone voice was unlike anything else in music. His live shows became legendary. He was a magnetic, primal force on stage, swiveling his hips and driving audiences into a frenzy. The famous tradition of fans throwing underwear onto the stage only cemented his status as a global sex symbol. He hosted his own hit TV show, This Is Tom Jones, became a Las Vegas staple, and struck up a friendship with Elvis Presley. Having sold over 100 million records, he sits in the pantheon of music royalty. For decades, Tom Jones seemed invincible, and it's that image that makes the reality of his current life so striking. For decades, the legend of Tom Jones seemed indestructible. He was the man who never got old, whose energy never faded. His performances were high-octane affairs that would leave younger men gasping for air. His entire persona was built on a foundation of physical power. But behind the scenes, time was starting to land its punches. A human body just isn't designed for 60 years of relentless touring and the physical strain of his signature performance style. The first major sign that the invincible Tom Jones was, in fact, mortal, was his hip. All that dynamic movement on stage, the swiveling, the lunging had taken a serious toll. The pain became a constant, unwelcome companion. It wasn't just post-show soreness, it was a deep, persistent ache. In 2017, the situation became unbearable. Jones had to publicly confront his physical vulnerability, describing to the press a dull ache that he simply couldn't get rid of. A scan revealed the brutal truth. The cartilage in his left hip was completely gone. He was, in his own words, bone on bone. The pain made it difficult to even stand, let alone perform. The diagnosis required a full hip replacement. For anyone, that's a major operation. For a then 77-year-old performer whose act was built on physicality, it was a potential The surgery was a success. But the recovery was long and difficult, a humbling experience for a man known for his power. He returned to the stage, but things were different. While the voice was still there, the uninhibited physical explosion was gone, replaced by a more stationary, though no less commanding, presence. He started using a stool during his concerts, a necessary concession. For a while, it seemed he had beaten it, but the victory was temporary. The same wear and tear that had destroyed his left hip was at work on his right. 5 years later, in 2022, he was in the exact same position, telling reporters he needed a second hip replacement. To go through that surgery once is a trial. To do it twice, in your late 70s and early 80s, is a monumental ordeal. These weren't just isolated incidents. In 2018, he was hospitalized with a serious bacterial infection, forcing him to cancel several shows. Each cancellation wasn't just a financial hit. It was a blow to the myth of his indestructibility. The armor was cracking. The man who built a career on being a physical force of nature was now in a constant, draining battle with his own body. And this physical decline was happening at the same time as an emotional blow, so devastating it threatened to silence his voice forever. While Tom's body was showing the strain of a lifetime on the road, his heart was about to suffer a blow from which it would never fully recover. The central pillar of his life, the anchor that kept him steady through the wildest storms of fame, was his wife, Linda. Theirs wasn't a typical celebrity love story. It was a bond forged in childhood that predated the fame, the money, and the screaming fans. And their story makes the final chapter of his life a profoundly lonely one. Tom and Linda met as children in Pontypridd and married in March of 1987, when they were both just 16. Linda was pregnant with their son, Mark, and their union was born out of youth and a deep love that would survive nearly 6 decades of unbelievable pressure. As Tom's star shot into the stratosphere, Linda remained firmly in the background. She was a deeply private person with no interest in show business. While he was Tom Jones to the world, at home he was just Tom, her husband. She was the bedrock of his existence. Their marriage, however, was notoriously complicated. Tom was unfaithful, a fact he has admitted with regret. At the height of his fame, he confessed to sleeping with hundreds of women a year. It was a betrayal that caused Linda immense pain, yet their bond somehow survived. She chose to stay, a decision that speaks to a connection deeper than most could understand. He was the love of her life. For his part, Tom always maintained that Linda was his one true love. In 2016, their 59-year love story came to a brutal end. Linda was diagnosed with lung cancer, which she battled fiercely but briefly. Tom immediately canceled his tour and rushed to her bedside in Los Angeles. He spent her final 10 days in the hospital with her, watching the love of his life fade away. In her final moments, Linda made a heartbreaking request. Seeing his devastation, she told him, "You've got to carry on. Don't die with me." It was her final act of love, an attempt to save him from the grief she knew would consume him. When she died at 75, Tom Jones was shattered. He later confessed he didn't know if he would survive the grief. "When my wife passed away," he said, "there were days when I felt I couldn't get up. The world as he knew it had ceased to exist." For the first time, he wasn't sure if he could ever sing again. The joy was gone. The house they had shared became a place of painful memories. Unable to stay, he sold their mansion and moved back to the UK, settling in a flat in London. He sought help from a grief therapist, and his son, Mark, now his manager, encouraged him to get back on stage. Eventually, he found the strength to perform again, channeling his heartbreak into his music. His 2021 album, Surrounded by Time, was a deeply personal reflection on life and loss. Many saw the song, "I Won't Crumble With You If You Fall," as a direct tribute to Linda and her dying wish. But the stage offers only a temporary escape. The swagger now masks a profound and permanent loneliness. He has admitted that he still sometimes sees her or hears her voice at night, only to wake up to the crushing reality that she's gone. He is fulfilling her wish, but he is doing it all without the one person who made it all worthwhile. At 85, life for Tom Jones is about surviving the day. The thunderous applause is a fleeting distraction from the stark reality. A daily, grinding war against time. This is where the poignancy of his story truly lies, not in a dramatic fall, but in the quiet, exhausting effort required to simply continue being Tom Jones. The physical battle is relentless. His double hip replacement wasn't a magic cure. It was a salvage operation. Life post-surgery, for an octogenarian, is a regimen of constant maintenance. He works with a personal trainer, focusing on stretching and even boxing exercises to maintain some fitness. Perhaps the most telling part of his health regime is his use of inversion therapy. Jones uses a special frame to hang himself upside down, a practice he believes is key to fighting off the years. It's a powerful metaphor for his later life. A man literally turning himself upside down to fight against gravity in nature. His diet is also radically different. The excesses of his youth are long gone, replaced by a strict paleo-like diet and reduced alcohol consumption. This isn't a lifestyle choice. It's a medical necessity. On stage, the concessions to age are clear. He's been seen using a walking stick to get around and now often performs seated on a stool, conserving energy so his power can be concentrated solely in his voice. He's even had to adapt his singing style, while he has acknowledged his voice has naturally changed with age. Reviews from recent tours still praise its enduring power and command. This physical struggle is compounded by the sheer logistics of touring at 85, with an estimated net worth of over $250 million. He certainly doesn't need the money. But he's still a working musician, pushing his body to its limit, night after night. Life on the road is a blur of airports and sterile hotel rooms. Each performance is a roll of the dice, where even a minor illness could derail a show. And through it all, there is the loneliness. The hotel rooms are emptier now. The post-show, silence is louder. For 59 years, he had Linda to come home to. Now, that voice is gone, so why does he do it? With a fortune that would allow him to retire in unimaginable luxury, why choose the pain and exhaustion of the road? That choice is the very essence of his story, a decision that is at once heroic, necessary, and deeply poignant. The simplest answer is that he does it for the love of singing. If the voice was not there, I am sure I would be going erg. I don't want to do so many shows, he said in one interview, but I love it as the voice is still working. For Tom, to stop singing would be a form of death. This relentless drive is his salvation, but it's also his prison. He is compelled by his own gift. The stage is the one place where the pain seems to fade, where the loneliness is temporarily beaten back by the adoration of the crowd. It's his therapy. Even more profoundly, performing has become his way of keeping his connection to Linda alive. It's the fulfillment of her dying wish. By continuing, he is honoring her last command. Don't you fall with me. He's proving to her, and to himself, that he can carry on. But this heroic act of remembrance comes at a price. Every night he steps on stage to honor her, he is forced to relive the reality of her absence. The very act that keeps her spirit close also sharpens the pain of her loss. He is trapped in a cycle of his own making. He needs the stage to feel alive, but the stage is draining the life out of him. He needs the music to cope with his grief, but the music is now steeped in that same sorrow. He's a man running from the silence of an empty room. The applause is just a temporary anesthetic for a wound that will never truly heal. It's a heroic struggle, a conscious choice to battle his aging body and his profound grief under the glare of the spotlight. He is defying age, sorrow, and mortality with every note he sings. In the end, the story of Tom Jones at 85 is a profound paradox. On the surface, we see a legend who refuses to quit, a testament to the enduring power of talent. He remains one of music's great titans, his voice still a miraculous force of nature. But behind the curtain, the picture is far more complex. It's a story of profound loss and a private, daily battle against pain and the realities of aging. His life isn't tragic because of failure, far from it. The poignancy comes from something more elemental. It's the story of a man who outlived the great love of his life and must now navigate the world alone. It's the story of a warrior whose body can no longer keep pace with his indomitable spirit. His choice to continue touring is both his greatest act of heroism and a source of deep personal struggle. He sings to honor his late wife, to feel alive, to hold back the silence. But in doing so, he sacrifices the peace of a quiet retirement for the punishing demands of the road. Sir Tom Jones isn't just a survivor, he is a fighter, waging a brave, lonely, and poignant war against time itself. His final act, a powerful ballad of defiance on the world stage. If you were moved by the story of this music, legend's incredible life and struggle, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We are dedicated to bringing you more in-depth stories about the icons who shaped our world. Click that subscribe button and join our community for more.